Alright, welcome back to KSP. Now, this is the third time that I've tried recording this, and it keeps crashing every time I try to load this. So if you see the borders, it's because I'm in window mode right now. I want to see if maybe if loading it in window mode will get it to load up, but it doesn't look like it will. Oh, what do you know? It loaded this time. Oh, freaking time. Now, let's see if I can do something dangerous and go into full screen mode. Nope. Okay. Alright guys, welcome back to KSP. This makes the fourth time I've done recording. It keeps crashing every time I try to go into full screen mode. Which stinks because I hate playing in window mode. So if you're seeing borders on the outside of the video, I apologize. That's why. Now, I've come here because I want to see if maybe, just maybe, of some totally random chance. Yeah, nothing. Absolutely nothing. So it definitely broke them. See, the only thing that irritates me about these things breaking is it's like I can't tell if it's broken. You know? Like, I've got no indication that this thing is broken whatsoever. So, I had planned on using all of this as sort of a test bed, I guess, if you want to call it that. But that's not going to happen because it occurred to me that there's no way for me to land all of this in order for me to just say, okay, well, I'll keep sending this thing on missions. Then what I would have to do is I'd have to actually find a way to undock this, and at present there's no way to undock this, right? Although if you guys want to know something really funny, so these tiny little engines right here, because we're in space, would be enough to move this entire thing. And there's plenty of fuel on here to do like something. So like, well, okay, not a lot. You know, it's only got 703 meters of delta V. Like, oops. Oh wait, that's because it's not counting the fuel in these sections here. That's what the problem is. Because it's trying to register the stupid ship as undocked, but it's not undocked. And I would really like it to be undocked. So we're going to quit faffing around with this. We're going to go back to the Space Center. Now, last time, I was debating what I wanted to buy with the last 215 science that I have. And to tell you the truth, I'm thinking, because it's not an easy decision by any means, but where is, because I think I already got the little, see, I could really use that. So what I'm gonna do is I am actually going to okay. We'll probably get the science, because I mean, it's more science, you know. Oh, that's right. I need the... Where's the good ladder at? Because there's a ladder in here that folds up. I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. So we'll get that. And of course, then we'll get rover wheels and stuff like that, and we can build a rover later on. So what I'm going to do today is actually go back to vainly trying to build a space plane, because oh yeah, that's right, it won't let me do anything until I put a piece down. Because to tell you the truth, I think that's really what we need right now is a space plane. Actually, do I have... I don't even have that. Ah, I do have that. Nice. And I should be able to use this. Excellent day. That's got to get 600. We're gonna need quite a bit. Now, one of these I thought had... Oh, okay, so it is that one. That's why you only have 270. Okay, so one of you and one of you. Okay. Actually, I think we'll probably do two of you. I know, that makes this thing incredibly long, but trust me, it'll all be worth it in the end. There should be a structural body piece that I can attach to the back of this. Yeah, but there's one that's got... I just wonder there was one that had 3 attachment points, not just one. Or just 2. It's 2, not 1, because I can't count. I guess not. Must have been the bigger one then. Okay. So, I really don't want to go with that one because, of course, that means I have to put 2 engines on there. I can only put 2 engines on there, not to mention that actually doesn't fit. Oh, that was the... Hold on, which fuel tank am I using? Yeah, I'm using the MK2. So why doesn't the MK2 parts fit on the MK2 fuselage? Yeah, they're not lining up properly, which is weird. So this may have been a bad idea. Naturally, because of course it was my idea. But I would like something to kind of sleek out the back end a little bit. I mean, I just don't want to, like, plop down an engine. Which I could do. Right? And you're wondering why, if you're wondering why that's a rocket engine, well, just watch and you'll see. There is madness to my method. It should be... It's not that one, no. So this will be a slightly more advanced take on our previous design. We'll try our best to make this thing look cool. Oh, thank God. So this is one of the reasons why I definitely wanted to get my hands on that, because that is a much cooler air intake than everything else, literally. Everything else. There was a flat piece, I thought. Now, fortunately, this game does allow for overlap. No, I know what I need. Where is the square piece? No. There it is. Need that. So I need to change those front pieces then. Those are big enough. I'll just switch to these, I think. Those are big enough. Yeah. Okay. So this It's basically going to be a combination of all of these pieces, like, sort of melded together, if you will. I'm not really good at doing this. Normally, I just grab the biggest wings I can find and select them onto the side. Which we will be using that in a second, but I need that flat piece again. Which I just saw it. I mean, I just used the damn thing. There it is, down at the very bottom. Come on, man. Come on. Okay. Alright. And then another one. And then these. Nope, not those. Where are the big ones at? No. Those are the big ones? Yeah. Those are the big ones. They're big, too big. No. There's a set that looks like that. That's like much better than that. Dang it. Don't tell me I don't have it yet. Man. I think I have it. Yeah, I don't have it. Okay, I'm gonna take it. We'll go with those then. They're might be overkill, but actually they're very overkill. So we'll get rid of all of this. We'll go with your bog standard basic 2-wing setup. I need that one is what I was looking for. Thank you very much. Okay. So now I need lift and that. Okay, so our center of lift is miles behind our center of gravity, which is not good. Especially when you consider that I still haven't put the tail fins on yet, and that's going to drive it back even farther. Especially if I use one that big. So the tail fins don't need to be massive, so they just need to be there. Go. Yeah, looks cool. I know, right? But it won't fly. That's obviously the problem. So we move the air intakes back to the back. Okay. And the problem is I got a lot more lift coming from the back than I do from the front, which is naturally what I wanted. So I think what we'll have to do is, so we'll do this, right? Okay, so you allow me to take that off. What about that? Good. So we'll take that off. That section will come out. That section there is going to be replaced with fuselage, if I can find a fuselage piece that will work, which I probably can't. So what I'm going to do then is go back into the fuel tanks, take this one, pop that in there, that there, those move forward again. That reattaches to the back, and you're like, wait a minute, that's exactly what you did before, only this time I'm going to empty out that front tank. There we go. It's better. Not by much, but it is better. This thing still won't fly, though. Oh, you know what I am forgetting? I am forgetting that, aren't I? You guys are right. So, that question about how I was going to get this thing to move, that's how I was going to get this thing to move. I was going to plop a couple of those down. But it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to do that the way I want to do it. Or I could do it the way I want to do it, but it's just going to look stupid. What I could do is... Oh, you guys... Now, see, the problem is that puts my center of thrust above. So that, as you can see, has moved my center of thrust away from the center of the plane, which is only a problem if this thing doesn't have enough lift to overcome that. I really want to get that center of lift back more, or center of mass back more. One of those two. But this thing is going to use a lot of fuel, I think. See, I don't know how those engines work. I don't know if I have to run fuel lines to them or not. We're going to try without it and see what happens. I think this thing should have enough. I think this thing should be strong enough to overcome the whims of nature. That moves that. Does actually move that. See, and that's the other thing I don't like about these wings is, yeah, I get the control surfaces, but they run into like this weird clipping issue. So long as they're centered, I am more or less happy. Attach landing gears. The good news with this is it's got enough flat surfaces that really should put them out on the wings, because that is where they're going to be needed most. Should those look terribly unstraight? Help. There's that. Hang on a second. Alright. So, I think this is going to be a terrible disaster. But I'm going to try it anyway. Unfortunately... fortunately, Jeb's a pilot, so... Okay, good. So that's fine. I need to set up an action group. So for those, we need to toggle engine. For that, toggle engine. Alright, thank you very much. So... let's launch this thing. See what the worst can happen, what the worst thing that is that can happen. And that's why I put those wheels out there on that. So get rid of that. Let's see if the wings provide enough lift. Holy heck, they can. So, landing gears up. Not gonna lie, it's actually a pretty cool looking design. Completely non-functional, however, but... Now, the thing is, those engines are... wow, doing a impressively good job. Unfortunately, I burned up a little bit of my oxidizer because I forgot this thing starts you at half throttle. But this is just a test, so... That's uncontrolled. I mean, I'm not touching the controls. I'm letting the computer do all the work, so... Let's see if we can't get this thing to go up a bit faster. It'll pitch, but it really doesn't like to. Gotta say, I'm liking those engines. I'm liking the fact that I can just, like, plop them somewhere, you know? I mean, what do they do? Ooh, they do about 65, maybe 70 pounds of thrust apiece. Actually, I think they have their own air intakes, which is even more cool. Just even cooler, I should say. So I need this thing to climb up as quickly as possible. And by the way, this is all a computer simulation. So, you know, if something goes terribly wrong, that's why these guys aren't dead. That already, so I gotta say, this thing can truck along nicely. Oh, I don't like the fact that those are already I'm noticing a bit of a problem here. You guys are probably seeing it too. Those ailerons are pitched all the way back right now. Which of course means that nothing I do at this point is going to get this thing to pitch back any farther. If I'm reading this right, it looks like I might actually be still climbing naturally, but yeah, it's trying to fall back. Because of course the engines are losing power. The higher I get up into the atmosphere, yeah, look, we're down to 61 kilonewtons of thrust. Yeah, it's not gonna make it. So, we'll kick the rocket engine in. This thing up to ridiculous speed. I think it's 350 is Mach 1. Don't have the fuel, no. And those engines cannot do that. Alright. So, let's see how this thing flies as a plane then. miles an hour. I gotta say, as a plane, it works a damn sight better than it did as a rocket. Turn my nose up a bit. Wish I had a marker to tell me where I was going. Oh, I do. See the world from a pilot's eyes. And of course, I'm an idiot. So, basically, my problem here is simple. So, if I head off at 90 degrees, I need to double back for myself using the nav ball. In what direction do I need to travel? Well, duh, you have to add 180 to 90. It's 270, by the way. In other words, that little point right there that I'm vaguely pointed at. Vaguely pointed at it because I want to make sure I can get much closer to the shore than what I am right now. So, there it is. So my basic problem here is that this thing is not capable. Those engines are good for on the planet. They use zero fuel damn near. Like, look at that. Like 0.02. I mean, obviously if I had one on here, it would be 0.01 at this point. I mean, that's maxed out full throttle, right? And they're still capable of getting this thing up to 200 miles an hour, 200 meters per second. Miles an hour. So, for making a transcontinental plane, those engines will work nicely. For everything else, not so much, but I do need to test this thing's landing capabilities, unfortunately. What is our altitude doing? It is trying to drop on me. Our airspeed's going down too. But it looks like if it's our altitude slowly going back up. Yeah. So we're losing altitude, but not quickly. Of course, computers having to make constant adjustments to keep me from reaching back. It's a very stable craft. It would work as... it actually wouldn't work as a transcontinental because that rocket engine on the back is just way too garish, and if I take the rocket engine off, there's no need for the liquid oxidizer, so... But with a few tweaks and modifications, it would work as a transcontinental plane. So that scraps this idea. So we need to go back to the drawing board. I think we need to go back to our original, something a bit more original, you know. See, I don't like the fact that with the computer shut off, this thing does try to nosedive. It's something we'll have to look into. I'll pull myself over that way. Tiny bit. Yeah, because the constant camera shaking was getting a bit annoying. I'm sure not just for me, but for you guys as well. I love flight simulators right up until the moment when you have to land. Which point all flight simulators are terrible. By the way, landing a plane is the most frightening thing you'll ever do in your life. If you ever have the opportunity to do it, do it. The way I like to think about it is it's like crashing, but in really slow motion. What was it that said any crash that you can walk away from is a landing? Down. Cut power. Unfortunately, with the computer assistance, it's a bit of a rough landing, but it's a landing. Yeah. So we are going to stow this craft for the time being. Ooh, hey. We got some science from that. Very nice. So we're going to stow this craft for the time being under... Trans Mark 1. So we'll save this because I can use that. I can easily use this later for something a lot less complicated. However, the plus side to playing in window mode is that I can see the clock right down on the bottom side of my monitor. So we are going to start anew. And this time we're going to build... Oh, wait. I can't use that. Well, I could use that, but I don't want to use that. I want to use this. Because, of course, this time, we're putting that on there. Yeah. So we're going to go with a more traditional style. So I'm thinking... See, a single jet engine would be nice, but do I have one powerful enough? Ooh, I do have one powerful enough. See, the idea here is you put a single jet engine on, right? And that way, if it flames out, when it flames out, you don't have to worry about symmetry. But I do have one that's powerful enough, because that one isn't powerful enough. That one is going to be powerful enough. Actually, it'll be more powerful than the rocket engines that I'm going to put on it. Okay, so we'll go fuel tank. Fuel tank. Actually, you know what? Because how much do those hold? Not a lot. I will need some structural fuselage. That's M1, MK1. There we go. So we'll add some structural fuselage pieces here. Actually, you know what? I'll turn that structural fuselage piece into a fuel tank. There we go. And then jet engine. That'll definitely fly. Alright, and then for that extra bit of oomph, that. Now, those should be powerful enough to do the job, but because the thing is, man, it's going to use a lot of fuel. Hopefully those will be powerful enough to do the job. If they're not, well, then I have a problem. And they'll burn evenly, regardless of what I say. So, custom one. Those, toggle engines. Toggle engine. Okay. Then I need to go down here. And let's start building this thing with wings. See, I would really like to use those because they're massive, and massive wings means tons of lift, but A, it's trying to make this thing look like a Klingon bird of prey, and B, you don't seem to want to go on properly. There we go. See, I like them to be flush with things, and they're not going to go flush. I would like them to be like that, but of course that leaves a lot of excess space there, not to mention, ooh, wow, that is damn near perfect, which is not good, because of course I need to put my front wings on. I think we'll go with that for the fronts. They don't do a lot, but they do enough. Problem is that puts the center of mass directly on the center of lift. Fortunately, however, I should be able to shift that forward a tiny bit. Tiny bit. I add these on there. Right. So, let's build ourselves an actual space plane. I ran into yet another crash. Surprise, surprise. So if I sound a little bit perturbed, that's why. Alright, okay, so we can do this. We can do this. We're right. We are okay. Symmetry on. Ooh, you know what? I could go with those wings. Could. I'm not going to, but I could. Yeah, hang on. I need to attach my cone there. Actually, you know what? I think this time we are going to go with some slightly different wings. So the last time I went with some other wings, you guys aren't going to see that because I'm just going to go ahead and cut that out. So A, I should come up too far, and B, a little bit too far forward, I think. Not by much, though. Not by much. So we'll go setup. Basic tiny rocket engines. Crew is fine. Setup action group. Toggle 1, toggle engine, toggle 1, toggle engine. Thank you very much. Now I could have one turn on those engines and two shut them off, but it's just quicker just to have stupid things toggle. Side is I can move that center of back a tiny bit when I add these on there. But again, strange clipping issues. I do not understand why those things clip like that. My air intakes, because I love these air intakes because they look cool and not like crap, but for the sake of argument, we will put some more air intakes on just to kind of help. So what does that do? 0.2, that's 0.8. No, that's 0.008. That's 0.01, so that one definitely does more. So there's 0.005. But they still look cool. Alright, so I think we're about ready to test this thing. Want to make sure that we're not going to run out of power. So what I usually do with these air intakes, and one of the reasons why I love them so much, I put solar panels on the outside of them, like this. Of course, these aren't straight, so it's annoying me. Ugh, come on. Sorry about that. So I put the solar panels on the outside, like so. Check my center of mass and my center of lift. They are both not 100% where they need to be, but whatever. Might help if this thing had landing gears. And again, it might not. It might make things worse. Remember, kids, sometimes landing gears just make things worse. Yeah, I know that's not straight, but I slapped it on there just so that way it wouldn't be on there. There. I do not have OCD. It just annoys the crap out of me. So, alright guys, let's try this thing out. Now fortunately, I did manage to save that other plane before my game crashed, so... Okay. So let's see how well this thing works. It's not going to get off to the end of the runway, is it? After all the success of your predecessor. Revert flight. Ah, you guys want to see it crash. Alright. And there it goes. Back to launch. Now, I know this thing's not going to get off to the end of the runway, but I think what we'll do this time is we will set the brake. Dang it. Fire up this engine. Because in truth, you're actually supposed to wait until the engine is at full power before you launch. Before you let the brakes off. I just like to kind of get things rolling. You know, because I'm terribly, terribly impatient. Good. We're still not going to get off to the end of the runway. That's where things are going to get tricky. Trying to climb. So, you know that statement I made about that engine being powerful enough? Well, guess what? And look how much fuel it's using compared to those other ones. Good. No speed. Massive fuel consumption. No altitude. Like, if anything goes wrong now, I am screwed. So here's what we're gonna do. Reactivate that engine. wants to fly. This is a bad design, guys. I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board for a bit. Now the good news is, even with those engines running and the jet engine going, it is gaining altitude, which is nice. But, you know, it's also not losing like tons and tons of fuel. And since the fuel's not linked, when the rocket engines run out, they'll just run out and stop working, unfortunately. But it's also not burning through all the fuel so quickly that I can't at least, you know, get a gauge of how this thing flies. The problem is, it flies like a brick tied to a house. I hate to see what this thing is like in a turn. But naturally, I'm going to. So even with stability management on. So let's see if we can get this thing back under control. Okay, throttle down. All turns must be taken very carefully. After our last plane was so stable. Crap, but stable. I'm aiming for that plot of land over there. Nothing else. I'm trying to make it back to the spaceport. Jeb's had enough. This is why he wanted to leave Bill on the planet. Oh wait, Bob. Let Bob deal with all of this stuff. And if my rocket hadn't broken, I wouldn't have this problem. By now, those should have used up enough fuel to lighten this thing up enough for this engine to actually be of use. Yeah, there we go. See, basically that was the problem, is that this thing was way too heavy for that one engine, which sucks. I've lifted rockets heavier than this with... Yeah, but rocket engines have more specific inputs. Shh, shh, shh. Don't want to hear it. So, I'm going to have to call it a day after this, guys. A, I can only take so much disappointment in one day. B, I need to finish the storyboard. Rough storyboarding. I'm, you know, not saying that I'm drawing stuff out because I can't draw to save my life, but rough storyboarding for my game, just so I can figure out like how long I need it and how long it's gonna be. Because the vision I have in my head is scary. Trust me, you do not want to see the inside of my head. Not that anybody would probably be able to make sense of it. So we are falling at a little over 120 meters per second. Let us flare up. Annoyingly, that was a much softer landing than the plane that actually worked. So, alright guys. Dang it. Okay. So I'm gonna call it quits here. One too many crashes. Space plane's not working right. Got another thing of science, which is nice. Not that I can do anything with 60 science. But, you know. It helps. That means that only puts us 100 science away from unlocking pretty much everything else, really. Oh, you know what? I do want to check here and see if I actually do have the ladder that I'm wanting. That's it! Awesome! These are the ladders. Fantastic. That means I can make much better landing craft. So, alright guys, I'm gonna call it a day there. So this episode is just going to be a whole lot of me faffing around with space planes that don't work again. Surprise, surprise. So I'm going to call it quits, and to that, guys, I'm going to have to say, sayonara.